It's my favorite segment of the week. It is the Commanders Report mailbag here as this team gets ready to take on the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday. I'm going to be answering your questions on the Washington Commanders. And if you guys want to get a question on a future edition of the Commanders Report mailbag, you have to be with us during our live shows that we're going to be doing every single week during the course of the 2025 NFL season. We try to give you guys the most interactive Commanders community anywhere on YouTube, where we go live every week during the week, getting you guys ready for that week's matchup, and then we go live for a live watch party just about every single week for the Commanders game that weekend. So those live shows really give you guys a great opportunity to interact with fellow Commanders fans and get your questions on the show when we do these mailbags. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for the best fan experience anywhere here on YouTube for Commanders fans. We'll start here with Wally Goozer. Says, now that they're in the books, how do weeks 2 and 3, maybe even 4, affect JD5's run for MVP? Do you think he can still get it if the team keeps playing hot? Man, if he misses this week, especially, and you have a 3-week stretch where you don't play your best game in week 2. And by the way, it wasn't Jayden's fault. I think Jayden actually played a pretty decent football game against the Packers. It's just not a lot of people were getting open, and the pass rush was getting home extremely quickly. So I don't think that a lot of the struggles in week 2 were on Jayden, but then to go from that to missing at least 1 week, maybe even 2 weeks, and then honestly not having his best week ever in week 1 versus the Giants either, it's certainly been a slow start to the MVP campaign for Jayden Daniels. I don't think that there's much of a chance that he's going to win it this year, unfortunately. He was my pick to win MVP this year, by the way, guys, but I thought he was going to start a little bit faster. I didn't expect him to get injured, and, I think he's going to have to do some stuff pretty darn special to be named MVP this year, especially with guys like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen absolutely lighting it up to start this season. If they can play that way throughout the course of the entire season, I think it's going to be probably one of those two individuals this year. So Jayden certainly has some catching up to do. Then we got one from Dominic Castro. Says, are we top 3 in the NFC? I would like to think so, but I think we need to see more evidence, Dominic, because there are some pretty darn good teams in the NFC. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles are still really good. Of course, you've got the Los Angeles Rams, who are going to be really, really good this year. And then you've got the Detroit Lions, who look really good again this year as well. So, Tampa Bay is looking pretty darn good. I mean, they've had some injuries, but they're very talented, and Baker Mayfield's balling out. Green Bay is another really good team. So, there's some good teams in the NFC this year, Dominic. To this point, the Commanders have only beaten bad teams, and they got walloped by one of those other teams in the NFC in the Green Bay Packers on the road. So right now, I think if I'd have to rank them, I would not have the Commanders in the top 3. But I think with Jayden Daniels and his ability to be the tide that raises all ships, I think that Jayden has the ability to get this team into that top 3 discussion by the end of the season. Then we got one from JG. Says, what's up with Sainristil and Quan? Do you think they will come on strong as the season progresses? I don't know, man. It's weird. And, I think what we saw last year with Sainristil is he might just be a better outside corner than a slot corner. He's getting beat a lot in the nickel, and I was so excited that he was going to be able to move back inside after having to play outside last year because he was so good in the slot in college. But he just has gotten off to a really bad start, and it's really concerning. And what's kind of looking like to me, if this trajectory kind of keeps its pace, the Commanders may have to move Sainristil back out to the outside at some point and be the future number 2 cornerback and have Trey Amos be the future number 1 while Marshawn Lattimore eventually moves on from this football team. I'm hoping that he can turn it around. Same thing with Quan. Both of these guys had reportedly really good training camps, so it's a little bit puzzling why they're struggling in coverage to start this season, but they're both very young players. They're both very talented players. Certainly possible that they could be playing their best football down the stretch. Then we got one from Ludo here. Says, are you worried about Scary Terry's production if he comes back healthy? I'm not, but I know people who are. He needs more targets. Yeah, man. Certainly it feels like because he was out of practice during training camp and even during mandatory minicamp for so long, and they really only had enough time to practice with him for like a week and a half before the season began when he signed that massive contract. He just didn't have a lot of time to build up that trust and that chemistry. And, you might be saying at home, but Jack, these guys have played with each other before. Do they really need that much time to build up that chemistry and trust during the training camp? And the answer to that question is yes. Just look at what happened with Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy last year when Ayuk signed his contract right before the season began. He got off to a really slow start, and then he ends up getting injured. And then CeeDee Lamb, the same thing. Last year with the Dallas Cowboys, waits all training camp long to sign his deal, and then he and Dak get off to a slow start. The team gets off to a slow start, and then there's injuries, right? So it's kind of the same pattern here where, there's a big holdout at wide receiver. It's a slow start, and then there's an injury. It sounds like this injury isn't as serious as CD's and Brandon, and especially Brandon's. He's still not back from that, by the way, complete reconstruction of his knee, so hopefully he can get better soon, but it doesn't sound good. Hopefully Terry can get back out on the field here relatively soon, and he can get that connection and that chemistry back together with Jayden, because we saw it last year, man. When these two guys are working, it is a truly special connection. All I really care about at the end of the day here, guys, is that those two are playing their best football come playoff time, because that's when you really need them to be playing their best ball. And as long as they keep filling up the win column, I'm okay with a little bit of growing pains for Terry McLaurin as he gets ramped up. So scale it for me down there in the comments section. What is your concern level for Terry McLaurin after the slow start? Put it on a scale of 1 to 10 for me down there in the comment section. This will be the pin question on today's show. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by putting on a scale of 1 to 10 how concerned you are about Terry McLaurin. All right, next question here. We got JG says, if the Commanders use the same offensive line, do you think they'll have another dominating run game? It's certainly possible, especially because the Falcons up front are very similarly constructed to the Raiders, where they've got two pretty good edge rushers, and in the Raiders' case, they got a superstar edge rusher in Max Crosby. And here in Atlanta, just like the Raiders, they got kind of a squishy, soft interior of their defensive line, and they don't have the best linebackers in the world. So I think that, we'll probably see probably a pretty darn similar game plan from the Commanders this week, JG. I think that they're going to be running the football quite a bit. I think they're going to be doing some QB run game stuff, and, especially if Terry McLaurin's not out there on the field, they know that they're going to have to get creative in the run game. Certainly expect that from Cliff Kingsbury and his offensive game plan, this week. And we got one from Corey, who says, when will Preston Smith get reps? As soon as this week, Corey, as soon as this week. He signs last week. He doesn't play because he doesn't get ramped up in time. Obviously these guys have to learn a new playbook, new communication, that kind of stuff. But defensive line is one of those positions where you don't have to have as much of an understanding of the defense behind you. You just have to know your role up front. So I think Preston Smith will see him as early as this week here, and I think that he'll be dressed, and we'll see how much he plays. Got a $20 super chat from Eli Hokies fans, as if the Commanders signed CJ Gardner-Johnson. Does this make the defense unstoppable? How good are Mariota and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt after the Raiders game? I would say the defense would not be unstoppable if they get CJ. Sainristil struggled in the slot. Certainly Lattimore has had his struggles on the outside, even though he played better last week. Quan Martin hasn't played his best football. So if you add CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think it makes this secondary better, and I think it makes this team's chances of putting together good wins in the postseason in particular higher. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's helped lead multiple Super Bowl runs in Philly over the last 3 years. And I think he'd be highly motivated to get this team to win a division championship over his former team because they traded him away this offseason. So I definitely think that CJ can make this team better and this defense better, but probably not unstoppable. And then talking about Mariota and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I thought they both played really well versus the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, Ja'Cory certainly hasn't earned like a true number one role yet, but then Mariota has certainly done a good job. Operating the offense, using his legs when needed, getting it to the right guy. He's definitely a pretty darn good football player, guys, and I'm excited to see what he can do if he gets the opportunity to play on Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons. Now, before we get into the rest of this week's questions here on the mailbag, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Omaha Steaks. And from handcrafted steaks to delicious fall favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. Enjoy USDA-certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals, plus tailgating favorites like chicken wings, smash burgers, and big deli-style franks. And now, during their red-hot sale, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code NFL Daily at checkout. Again, guys, that's 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com, plus an additional $35 off along with the red hot sale of 50% off. When you use code NFL Daily at checkout. So just to kind of walk you guys through what the experience would look like on the Omaha Steaks website, you can pick from an assortment of different packages here, like the classic favorites assortment, for example. You guys get multiple cuts of meat. And this one in particular, you guys can see it's slashed in half there with $129.99. And then you add on top of that with our code NFL Daily, you guys can get $35 additional dollars off of that. So for a package here that was originally $265, you can get this right now using our code NFL Daily for less than $100 for premium cuts of quality meat. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks today. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their red hot sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code NFL Daily at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code NFL Daily at checkout. See site for details. A big thank you to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. Got one here from Dreyfus my dog, says, will we utilize Donovan Edwards? I don't think so. I think he's just a practice squad body, somebody that you put on there. I think they like their current rotation of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Chris Rodriguez Jr., and, of course, Jeremy McNichols. McNichols showing yet again last week that he is one of the most underrated running backs in the entire National Football League, in my opinion. And I think they like that committee as it stands right now. Then we got one from Hockey Dad 65, says, when will JCM be let loose? I think after his first kind of true standout performance, like if he has a 100-plus yard rushing performance and he has a couple big runs in a game and he really starts to show the coaching staff, hey, let's get out of this committee approach and let's get me the football more often. I think that he will get more and more and more of the share of the carries as the season goes on, Hockey Dad. And I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to be able to do here in his rookie season. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, you love the Washington Commanders, and you want to help out our channel today, we really do put in a ton of hours to get you guys the best damn Commanders coverage money can buy, 100% free right here on YouTube. So if you appreciate the efforts that we do for you guys here at the Commanders Report, click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. Got another one coming in from JG here. Says, why is Crowder not a consideration for the wide receiver position? Did he burn bridges? Not that I know of, JG. I just think that maybe this team feels like he's kind of cooked at this point. He's pretty darn old for a wide receiver at this point in his career. Now, could they potentially consider bringing him in because he's got some experience and they could certainly use another receiver that can get open, but is Crowder even that type of guy anymore at this age? I think that is certainly a question mark. Certainly a wide receiver position is kind of a funky one with Terry McLaurin kind of up in the air. Then we got one from Ludo. Says, will Cousins start against us? No, he will not. It will be Michael Penix Jr. Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that Raheem Morris actually threw both of his quarterbacks under the bus when he was asked that question at his press conference this week. He said, we benched Kirk last year. Michael Penix just had a bad game last week, all that different stuff. So you're pretty much saying Michael Penix stinks and Cousins stinks at the same time. So maybe not the best look from Raheem Morris earlier this week. All right, so next one here coming in from Eon says, should the Commanders start Jayden Daniels versus the Atlanta Falcons? If he's healthy, yeah, why not? If he's 100% ready to go, no limitations, no pain, no chance for further injury or low chance of further injury, go ahead. Start Jayden Daniels. Absolutely. Now, what I'll say is you can afford to be careful. All right, like if he's not all the way back, if there's a chance, a medium to high chance that he can get re-injured and he can re-aggravate it where he has to miss more time, just put Marcus Mariota out there, man. Like, first of all, it'd be a great story for him to go back into Atlanta and try and completely ruin the day of those Falcons fans. But also, he's a very, very capable backup quarterback, a capable starting quarterback, honestly, as your backup quarterback. So, if Jayden is not 100% back, if I'm the Falcons or if I'm the Commanders, I'm playing it safe and I'm playing Marcus Mariota. But if Jayden's 100% ready to go, absolutely start him. Then we got Sean T. Burke says, what do you think about getting receiver help? I like the idea. If Terry's going to be missing some time here, and even if Terry isn't going to be missing time, Noah Brown has already missed time. Last year and this year, he gets injured like every few weeks at this point, all right? This team needs another separator, all right? Right now, teams, what they're doing is they're double-teaming Terry McLaurin. It's one of the reasons why he's not getting the ball as much, because Deebo Samuel and Zach Ertz are not getting open versus man coverage, all right? So you have to force these teams to get that double team off of Terry McLaurin, and the way that you do that is you add another separator to this group, all right? I was kind of hoping that Luke McCaffrey was going to be that guy, and hopefully he can still be that guy. We'll see this weekend if he can fill that role. But to this point, this team has not found that other side separator to get some of the attention off of Terry McLaurin when he's playing. So I think a guy like Diontae Johnson, somebody that just last year was putting up some really good numbers before he got traded to a different organization, you bring in Diontae Johnson, who's a really good route runner, he can do some stuff after the catch as well. I think that he's the type of man-to-man separator and route runner that this offense could really need, could really use, and could really take this offense to the next level. So if I'm the Commanders, that's the guy I'm thinking about bringing in. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Should the Commanders add another wide receiver? And if so, which wide receiver would you like them to add? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section to answer that question today.